If you dream of your motorcycle, if your day isn't complete without some time in the saddle, if all you need is the open road and a full tank of gas, well, you've come to the right place, because this is Throttled, and it's starting now. Here's your host, Kevin McKinney.
Hey everybody, how is it? Hopefully you're doing well. We are back with another show this week, and I think it's going to be pretty good. Let's go ahead and see who is here. Let's see, I found Tom hanging around, nothing to do, so I invited him to show up. Tom, how you doing?
Excellent. It's a good Sunday. So, glad to be joining y'all.
Yeah, well, what makes it such a good Sunday?
I had a nice 3-day weekend. That's what it is.
Okay.
So that was what made the weekend really good.
You know, I really wish I had that as well. Little jealous.
Yeah, I just took Friday off. My son was in town. He left for back to his home in Iowa this morning, but we went out for a nice long hike Friday morning. So it was great to be out in the parks without any weekend traffic.
All right. I went to the track and saw Chris riding around, so I decided to see if I can borrow him for a little bit, if I can get him off of the track. It seems like that's where he spends more time than anything lately. So, Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, thank you. Not as much time on the track as I'd like, but yeah, more than street riding lately. So, yeah, and I'm actually enjoying the air conditioning here. It's gotten a little hot and humid in the Long Island area.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment. Larry, how are you doing? Found him.
Hey,
Larry was just, being retired, sitting around with nothing to do, begging to come on the show tonight. He's bored out of his mind. So how you doing, man?
This is true. I figured that being on the show is better than nothing, so I am here, and I'm doing good. Thanks, Kevin. How about yourself?
I can't complain too much. Got a little bit of riding in yesterday. So right at 100 miles, almost on the button. When I pull back into the driveway. So,
well, there's a segue into our riding.
Yeah. So see, it's almost like that was planned. Ended up just doing a little loop, meandering around as a rider coach, coaching one of the ranges, and I went by and kind of visited with them for a while, and then went and got a lunch at a restaurant that I know does things right, and got to sit in the bar area all by myself. And so that was kind of nice. And it's like I got there and everybody's sitting outside in the patio, and then I walk into the bar and there's nobody inside. I'm just like, can I just sit in here? They're like, sure. So it was probably better off than not. But outside of that, just had a nice little cruise around town pretty much. I mean, it was good weather. Got really warm. I mean, I started out riding at 9 o'clock, and when I got back to the house at about 1, it was getting rather toasty. Actually, after lunch on the way back was a little warm, but just basically back streets, meandering around, trying to avoid red lights and traffic as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
nice.
What about, let's see, we'll go reverse order. Larry, what about you?
Well, this was a busy week for me. My older son got married on Wednesday.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll congratulate him, I guess.
He's the one who rides the Ducati, and it was a civil ceremony because they had planned a wedding before the pandemic, and they had to put it off, and so they kept putting it off, and eventually they decided to heck with it. So they when they got married, and interestingly enough, they live streamed the ceremony from the town hall. So cool. So we had a lot of people all over the country watching the ceremony, and we went down there and saw them afterwards, and so that took a while this week, and I got some new big speakers from my hi-fi that were very heavy, and I had to schlep him, and that took a while. Oh, there's the video, and so finally I got out on the bike on Saturday. Is this a Saturday? Today is Sunday. Yesterday was
It'll be
Saturday.
yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. I got out on the bike, and I did some practice in the parking lot first. Went out on one of my usual routes in West Marin, basically, and it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful ride. I have some particular music that I sometimes listen to when I'm riding, and I was listening to it on this ride, Il Divo. I don't know if you guys remember, but for a while there, having multiple tenors singing was all the rage. And there were a number of groups that consisted of tenors. And so I listened to for some reason, that has grabbed me when I'm riding. And I listen to these guys singing not opera songs. Occasionally they do that, but popular songs and other things too. And it's just I don't know. It just really gets to me when I'm riding. It's very emotional. So
okay, so I gotta. For a second, I thought you said Devo as in the Whip It guys.
Whip it good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't even know who the Whip It guys are. No, this is Il Divo. And
Okay.
there's another group called the Canadian Tenors that is very similar. And it's just I don't know. It's music for me that really fits with riding. And I played it when I rode out west. When I did my Canadian tour and the Western tour, and so I associate it with riding and with being on the road. And that's a very happy memory and an experience for me. So that's what I did this weekend. Who's left? Tom, what did you do?
Yeah, not much this week. It was primarily just a couple days of errands and riding the big bike and the scooter around. Just that was it. Really, just when I had to go out and to the store and do something and got a haircut and things like that. So just errand runs, but nothing this weekend per se. I will point out the bike behind me, picture of the week, is my very first motorcycle.
Oh, really?
Yep. That's a I think it was a 2004 or 2006 Suzuki Bergman 400 scooter, by the way.
That looks like a scooter. It does.
It is.
Yeah.
It's one of the few bikes that I really regret selling.
Okay.
Wish I had kept that one. It was a blast.
That
Yeah,
answers
Chris,
my question. No, that answers my question about whether it was still in the stable. So
No. That one's long gone. Lots of other bikes and scooters followed it.
Oh, that's cool.
And how about you? And how about you, Chris?
Yeah. So the last time I was riding was last Saturday. Actually, drove in a car this time up to New York Safety Track, and I did a track day up there in the novice class, which was a lot of fun. I rented one of their Ninja 400. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Rented one of their Ninja 400s. So that was really cool.
Boy, you loved it so much, it's making you get all choked up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a lot of things. It was a really good day, and particularly because I felt really well prepared for it, right? So doing novice class, you go out for your session. There are instructors available, if you want help, if you have questions, or, they may kind of come up, alongside you on the track, tap the back of their bike, say, hey, follow me if they think maybe you need some help. But you're pretty much on your own. But between the first thing, the rookie day I had done, and then the Riders Academy, it was really good preparation. So I was kind of looking forward to just being out on the track, just focusing on what I was doing, not having, anyone say, do this, do that, and just really start to feel the rhythm of it and kind of get into the groove. What was interesting was it was about the fourth session, I think, and they were also doing, let me see, I guess they had so many riders that they actually were doing 2 intermediate sessions. So, normally it would be 20-minute sessions, but they were doing 15-minute sessions. So the novice group was going out, 15 minutes at the end of every hour. But by the fourth session, I actually was hanging out with a guy who's done track days before. He hadn't done them in a while. I think it was his first time at New York Safety Track. But in talking with him by like the third session or so, he said he was getting a little frustrated. There was a lot of people. The Saturdays are a lot busier than like when I went up on Friday, the prior time. So there's a lot of people out on the track, and he was just getting a little frustrated because it was hard to get an open section of track, and he's got some experience, and he kind of wanted to stretch the legs on.
Like how many is a lot of people?
I did not count. Someone told me they thought maybe there was like 250 riders.
Oh wow.
Total. Not. I mean that was all. That was across the 4 groups, but still. So you got to figure.
Yeah, but so how many go out at a time on the track?
It could have been 60 at a time, or something like that.
On the track.
On the track, yeah.
Holy
so
crap.
it was getting packed at times, and especially in the novice group, right? Because you have some people who haven't ridden before on the track, are brand new, so they're getting all kind of bunched up. So anyway, the point I'm getting to is he was like, hey, you know what, I think it would be a good idea, as he said, he was going to start lining up early so that when the novice session went out, he would be at the front and he'd have open track ahead of him, and it would take a while before he'd kind of lap and catch up to the slower people at the back. So I was like, oh, it sounds like a great idea. So I did that with him the one session, and then I was like, okay, let me do that again. He wasn't there. I don't know. He was off doing something. The thing was, what ended up happening was I was not really paying attention to the time. I was early. I got online, but instead of hanging kind of outside the gate entrance to the pit area, I went into the pit area, and there was some bikes lined up. So I'm like, okay, cool. So let me get just at the end. There was like a couple bikes ahead of me. And I don't know. My mind was wandering. I wasn't thinking. And the next thing I know, the guy that kind of controls the group pointed at me and said, go. So there I go off on the track. And I'm out on the track, and people are passing me and left, and then they're passing me on the right. And I'm like, this is really weird. Like, more people are passing me than usual. Like, what is going on? When I got off the track, I realized actually I was in the intermediate group. So, which is kind of interesting. But what was cool about it was I didn't have any problem with it. I mean, it was fine. Yes, I was getting passed more than normal. And yeah, there was an instructor who came up to me, tapped the back of the bike, said, follow him. I guess maybe he thought I wasn't taking the right lines. I followed him maybe 3-4 laps. The session was over. We got off the track. He said, hey, what'd you think? I was like, oh, wow, that was really cool. Thank you for pointing those things out. It really helped with my riding. And he's like, awesome. Fist bump me. He didn't say, get off the track. You don't belong here. So I guess that was good. But the ironic thing is, I guess during my novice slot, which was right after that one, which I missed, right? So I'm sitting at the picnic table in the shade, and I'm kind of looking at my watch going, wait a minute, I should still be out on the track. Why am I here? And that's when I realized I goofed. When we went out again, I went out with the novice group. That's when one of the instructors grabbed the bullhorn, and he got in front of everybody, and he said, hey, guys, listen up. I just have to say this. You guys are absolutely the worst novice class of riders I have ever seen at this track. If I see any more of the nonsense that just happened in the prior session, we're going to start kicking people off the track. So evidently I missed all the excitement because I was riding in the intermediate group. But evidently people were just taking too many chances and things. There was... In the novice session I had been in beforehand, I did see things where there was a rider who obviously was fairly new. I thought were doing a very good job, but they were obviously not going as fast as everyone else, and they were just doing their thing. And this person got passed on the left and the right at the same time by bikes doing at least 25 miles an hour more. I saw a pass someone did where there was maybe 3 feet between the rider they were passing and the edge of the track, and they just barely hung on. So there was some crazy stuff going on. So it was good. I mean, I think it's good that the instructor made that point, and that they were, they're like, hey guys, safety, let's not be dumb. They're like 6 feet between bikes at all times, whether you're passing or not, passing on the outside only, which they had said at the very beginning. But I think, we were talking a little bit before we started recording. I think what it was is there was just too much testosterone flying. I think there was a bunch of guys first time on the track, and they were just out to prove something. They have not been to like a rookie class or, the Riders Academy or any of the orientations, so they just didn't have good track manners. And that you don't want that, because this is supposed to be a better environment to learning how to ride. So I'm kind of glad I missed that whole mess, but it was not nice to get lumped into the group that was getting yelled at either. But
did they take names? He didn't take names.
I don't know. He did not point out specific people. Like, honestly, to me, that's not a thing. It was not everyone that was doing dumb stuff. So to me, it's not appropriate to really address. It'd be one thing if they said, hey, we noticed some people, and if certain people continue to do it, you're out of here. To kind of reprimand the whole group, I didn't think was fair. But whatever. In the interest of safety, it was good that they made the announcement, and I'm guessing they were, the control riders were really paying attention to what was going on after that. And then there was it did seem to get better. Like the rest of the sessions I went out in, there were a few more people, so I'm guessing they did ask people to leave. But things definitely seemed to be much better in control. There were 2 crashes that day. One in the novice group, actually a guy I had met earlier in the day. He just, I don't know, he was passing someone and realized he didn't have enough room and just ended off the track and bent up the bike a little bit, but was able to put it back together. So he passed tech. He was able to keep riding. And then I don't know if it was intermediate or expert group. There was a woman crashed, not injured, but evidently her bike got busted up pretty good.
You don't know how she crashed or what happened?
No, I don't know. I wasn't out on the track, so I didn't see it. But yeah, so definitely a good time. Looking forward. I don't have any specific plans at New York Safety Track. Middle of August, I've got California Superbike School coming up, so I may try to squeeze in one more at Safety Track, and then we'll see. Also, I've been talking to the guys at N2 Track Days. I actually had the owner on the podcast this past week, so actually want to arrange going with them as well, because they're very much connected to Yamaha Champions Riding School. So it'll be interesting just to see their approach to things. I know I've heard good things about N2.
So Chris, when you do those tracks, they don't put a cap as far as on how many people per group that they're going to accept for the day and put out on the course?
No, there must be a cap of some sort, because, you will see announcements that, hey, for such and such day, we're booked up. So there is some maximum on the number of riders that they'll accept. What that number is exactly, I don't know. Like I said, there was the afternoon sessions, after that announcement had been made, I think there was 3 more sessions I went out in. It seemed less crowded, and so I don't know if they had kicked some people out or people dropped out, which is possible. There may have been some people who were a little nervous and tenuous with what was going on that might have left, but it was not too bad at that point.
Yeah, Lloyd says that on track days after 2 p.m. People tend to leave, so it's even on a crowded day.
Because it makes sense, because I think that's kind of when people are getting a little tired, drained or whatever. And for sure, it's a kind of thing, and this applies to riding in general on the street or whatever, but, where to me, when you start feeling fatigued and you're just not as sharp as you can be, it's time to quit, So hopefully that's what some people do.
Yeah, I've heard that strategy is to, going and like skipping the first couple sessions in the morning and then ride in the afternoon more when it's less crowded. Don't know if that's true, but perhaps it is.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a thing that comes the more track days you do. Like, for me, so I'm getting started. It's the 3rd one. You're all excited. Like, you want to get your money's worth. You want to get out in every session. But I'm sure, there are people that leave their campers or whatever up there for the season. So they're up there all the time. And so I think it's a little bit different. They're whatever, they pay for the season, and they're basically, whatever, season attendees. And then it's like, I don't feel like going out. I'm not going to go out, or that's not good today, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well, cool. Glad you had a good time.
Thanks for saying
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, before we get into all the news and some articles and stuff, let's go ahead and talk and give a little thanks out to the Throttle crew members. Gentlemen, we really appreciate everything that you guys do to kind of help the show stay on the air. You guys are very consistent supporters of the show, and most of you show up in the live stream, and we really appreciate that. If you're interested in joining the show, if you get a little bit of value and want to give back, go to the website, throttledpodcast.com, scroll to the bottom, click on that Patreon logo, and we'll get you signed up. All righty. And we look forward to having you join. All right. So
yes, we do.
let's start today by talking about, well, let's just confirm something that we mentioned last week. And we talked about the Long Way Up series and where it will be debuting. And the rumor was Apple TV. And there was a debate about, is it Apple TV? Is it Apple TV Plus? You know, one is paid, the other is free with an Apple device. If I understand what everybody was saying last week, I'm not an Apple guy, so there's that. But it looks like it's been announced that it will be on Apple TV Plus. And from what this article is saying, exclusively on Apple TV Plus. So who knows long if that's a timed exclusive release or if that's just where it's got to be for you to watch it. So that means that the likelihood of it showing up on Netflix is pretty gone, I would think, since Apple TV Plus is kind of a competitor there. But who knows if these are just the digital streaming rights to this or a long-term permanent agreement that that's where it will always be housed. It's unknown at this time. Well, to us at least. Maybe we'll be able to get it on DVD if they cut discs for it, but I don't know.
They still make those?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: that I still have a Netflix account that gets DVDs, and that's the reason for that is, well, instead of Blu-ray, DVD is cheaper to have monthly, and you know, there's a lot of things that they just don't have the streaming rights to, but they can send you the disc of. And so you can still watch your show, you know, this weekend if you're planning it, or if the kids are like my kids, you know, we've got people coming over or, you know, we're going on a long road trip or something like that. You know, we'll get some DVDs for them and have them here in plenty of time to watch them on that trip, to have them be quiet at least for 6 hours. So that's the thought there. But anyway, back to the article here. This is kind of a bummer because it's behind a huge paywall, whereas the other ones weren't as much. You could stream them from several different locations. They were available all over. So I kind of bummed about that, but it is what they have decided to do. What do you guys think about this?
Well, the Apple TV Plus, you can get it on your PC, any PC, or a Roku device, or an Apple TV device. So it's not limited there. And I think it's one of the cheaper alternatives, about $5 a month. But, you know, I read the article and I agree with his conclusions on it, is that the first ones, even the second one, not as good as the first, but it gave you that romanticism and that imagery as to, okay, here's just two friends going riding. Yes, they had a support group, but they were doing the riding, and you could see yourself possibly doing that, you know, to whatever limited degree. And it was, after it was produced, it was widely available, DVDs, TV show, everything along that line. This is very limited distribution, you know, so you got to go buy this service. And granted, they would have been better with one, even if it was on Amazon Prime, would have been better. But then you know, it's kind of a publicity thing. They're doing it on electric bikes. No one outside of a huge support group could repeat or even imagine doing what they did on those particular bikes. So it's I don't know. I'm just not excited about it. I'll watch it, but it's doesn't hold any value, I think, like the last ones. I'm just not looking forward to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Larry, Chris?
Yeah, I'll have to agree with what you were saying, Tom. I mean, it seems, I mean, I said it before. It's just like, you know, the adventure isn't as much there, and maybe we'll be proven wrong. But I'm a little. I think the adventure is trying to find some place to charge it. That's going to be the adventure. Is, you know, instead of just let's just ride. Let's just,
Right.
um,
Personally, you could never see yourself in that situation because it's virtually impossible with the bikes they were on, highly customized, and the whole support operation. Here it was absolutely necessary to have that support operation they
Yeah.
had. So, I mean, I'm guessing we'll see, what they eventually show. But I think, yeah, a lot of it's probably going to be the challenge of where do I plug this thing in at some point, and where's the truck that has the generators?
yeah, I think this is their jump the shark moment. And probably most of the audience has no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I don't either. What's Jump the Shark?
Are we talking about Happy Days?
Yeah. Yes. So there's Happy Days is going
Fonzie,
along, and they're going
Yeah.
through, and it but once a season or so, they've got Fonzie doing this death-defying jump, and in one episode they're on vacation somewhere, and he literally jumps a pinned up group of sharks. And
He's on water skis in shorts, wearing his leather jacket.
yeah.
He's
And so
cool.
it became the thing for you're out of all good ideas, so you're throwing anything out there kind of thing. And it's kind of the turning point of most television shows.
That's the death knell of the television of that series.
Once you hit the jump the shark portion, you're on your last season or two.
Got it.
I can't believe you didn't know that one. That.
And yeah, I did watch Happy Days, so but I missed that episode.
You missed that, and the whole Fonzie.
Well, if you get an Apple TV, you can watch the repeat.
Oh, there you go. so I'm afraid that this is going to be exclusive on Apple TV for a while. And so, the Tom Hanks movie recently came out that was also an exclusive on Apple TV. So,
that was an excellent movie, by the way.
Oh, was it?
So
yeah, it looked good.
It was outstanding. Yeah.
So that's the deal, But you can get a free month, I think, a trial month, and you can watch your brains out for a month.
So wait till this thing drops, and it's like I say, it's $5 a month. Maybe just get it for. I think that's the name of the game with streaming services these days. If this interests you that much, is when it drops, go join for a month or two.
I mean, if it's $5, maybe, but if it's more than that, I
think it's $5 or $6. I think it's like $5.99 or something.
I'll wait till somebody rips it.
And you get the service free for a year.
Buy a what?
If you buy any Apple product, you'll get the service free for a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Since when? Because I just bought a phone not too long ago.
Well, it should be included. It might be included if you open up the app.
Just in the last few months, because I didn't even realize it. I had I purchased a new PC just a couple of months ago, and then all of a sudden I got an email and said, "Hey, this is available if you want it."
I think
log in.
I think it's been a while actually. It's when they introduced the new Apple TV or something like that. They said that they were throwing in a free year for people who bought Apple products.
Okay. I'll have to check on it because I bought my daughter a phone not too long ago. So maybe. Outside of that, it's going to be a while.
There you go.
All right. So
moving right along.
Move past that. All right. So we've had a couple articles, well, at least one article, and I think we referenced another one. We were debating if we actually talked about the first one, but there's been a couple incidents of in the UK and more European Union, to be honest. The areas are banning motorcycles or noisy motorcycles, really cracking down on it. Now, they have always had exhaust, loud exhaust laws. Some of them are just saying, hey, we're going to start enforcing it more. Others are coming up and saying, nope, it's something that we are totally against, and they're going to, not allow vehicles of certain types on certain roads, apparently. I do know that I can't find it, but I do know that Paris is stepping up with that as well. So we've got like some places in the Swiss Alps, several places in France. And what they're doing is they're using noise cameras in certain areas that are linked to the police CCTV camera to automatically issue fines. So if the noise camera detects that your exhaust is too loud, then you will get a ticket in the mail or an email or however. What do you guys think about this?
Tom, what do you think?
Hey, I'm a proponent of quiet bikes, although I have Akrapovic exhausts on both my BMW and my scooter, believe it or not.
Are they emissions approved?
Yeah, I mean, they've got, I don't know, there's no emissions here in Georgia. We don't do that type of thing.
Oh.
But I've got the baffles in it, so they're actually fairly quiet. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of, loud bike or loud bikes, the catchphrase, so I just find them annoying. So yeah, I'd say, no, you got to do the same thing with cars. There's a lot of tuner cars I think are just as obnoxious as motorcycles. So if you're going to do it for one, do it for all of it.
Chris?
So that's my thought. Chris?
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. It's interesting. It's like there's two sides to the coin kind of thing. I love the sound of a great exhaust, for sure. And like actually the Z900RS is not bad, but the Vulcan doesn't sound too good. And I know that's one of the first things that people like to change. But to Larry's point, about as motorcyclists, if we're want to be good citizens and get along with people and have as much support as we can, I guess it does make sense, to comply with noise ordinances. And I'm not like a big fan of Big Brother is watching kind of thing, and then there's all this kind of controversy about speed cameras and all that kind of stuff. But I guess what the heck, if you're gonna enforce noise ordinances, what the heck, you might as well automate it, if it's more effective that way or more cost effective or whatever. And for people that want loud bikes, get a track bike and take it to the track.
Yeah, that may not be the kind of bike that, well, I mean, in these areas it probably is,
Yes,
but
yeah.
Around my area, that's not the kind of, I mean, you get a one or two of those, whatever, but that's not usually around here where we get any kind of noise complaints. I mean, I try to look at this from 2 points of view. One, as a bike owner, leave me blankety blank alone. But if I'm a property owner and the state came through and put a highway right next to my house, which has happened, and it just happens to be popular, and there's motorcycles running up and down it, and where I used to have this nice quiet area, now I'm constantly hearing that kind of noise. I would be pretty miffed. So I'm really trying hard to see it from everybody's point of view, but I guess this is just to me, it's an extension of this whole cancel culture. We don't like it, get rid of it, instead of coexisting. It's my way or the highway, or we'll arrest you or fine you or whatever. You will comply. I don't like that, and anyway. And that's what I feel like a lot of this stuff is.
Well, I understand that, and I think that individual choice is important, as long as it doesn't adversely affect your neighbors. Now, I think that as good citizens, we should want to, and we would want to not do things that are offensive to others or that interfere with their quality of life. And that applies to all sorts of things, including noise from our vehicles. And The problem is that just simply asking people to be reasonable about this doesn't work. So at some point, that does invoke the need for regulation, and that's what's happening. I don't think that you need to have noisy pipes in order to have a adequately performing machine. And if it does, the thing that bugs me where I live is the sound of leaf blowers, the sound of the reverse beeping that trucks have, you know, and that really does interfere with my quality of life. I live in a quiet area, but it's constantly being interrupted by the sound of some of these machines. And I really wish that there was some way to quiet them. And if I lived in an area where a lot of motorcycles were going through and the noise from the motorcycles was distressing, I would resent that as well. So from my point of view, regulating the amount of noise that motorcycles make should be a part of a program to try to create a healthier environment. But that also includes other noise-making machines, which I think, from my experience, are worse than the motorcycles. Leaf blowers and lawnmowers and things like that. Chainsaws are high on the list.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, these are also the same people who said if you make an electric bike, it has to make a noise of certain. You can't have a bike that's too loud, but it has to be loud enough, and it's this whole, and that's just where I get back to, this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, but you're confusing different issues. That's a safety concern. That has to do with the fact that if bikes are too quiet, then people can't hear them coming.
But I guess my problem is, it's too many people meddling for the good of society and all that crap, when it's going to get to the point of, for the good of society, we just need to ban these things. And for the good of society, and that gets me off on a completely different soapbox that I do not really want to go stepping on, and I'm trying really hard not to. But I don't know. All right, so everybody's had to say. We're going to move on before.
Wait a minute. Does Chris have a say?
Chris, did you have a say?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I said I love loud pipes, but I don't.
Right, that's right.
I don't think we need them if it disturbs the neighbors.
Okay. I mean, trust me, it's I understand, at 4 a.m. going out and cranking up your Harley that's got the loudest possible sound making device you could have on the back of it, and most people would swear that it's amplified with speakers and everything else. At 4 a.m. is not very neighborly. But
yeah.
And there are sound ordinances around that, but there's also I just feel like we're getting too much into it. But like I said, I don't want to jump up on that soapbox.
So, I mean, I had an incident last week when I went to the demo day. At one point, there was 3 guys leaving on their bikes that were large cruisers, brand to be unnamed. Straight pipes,
go ahead, Nate.
Extremely loud, and stereos just blasting. So they started them up. They had the stereos going. It took them about 2 minutes to actually pull out of the parking lot. In those nearly 2 minutes, no one could have a conversation within 100 feet of these guys. It was just, and the stereos were as loud as the pipes were. So everybody just kind of stopped and stared. I don't know if that was the effect they were going for, but that's what they got.
And I mean, I'll admit, there's been times when I've been on the range and we've had to stop because here comes a group of guys, and they're not going to hear me on the range with their bikes running and a whole, what seemed like motorcade pulling in radios and, blipping I don't know why we got to blip, 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 blip the throttle when we're slowing down. It's, it worked a few minutes ago. I'm sure it's still working now. but I'm also at a motorcycle dealership, and that kind of expected. So it is what it is. You wait 45 seconds, and then you keep going. So anyway, all right. So let's talk. Speaking about loud bikes, let's talk about Sturgis.
There you go. Good segue.
Good segue. Yeah.
All right.
So-
Very professional.
So apparently Sturgis is still happening. And what we have here is the city saying that there will be a 2020 Sturgis rally as of right now. They have plans in place for how the vendors should operate and all the stores should operate. They're expecting people to self-regulate with social distancing and mask wearing in the city limits of Sturgis. Outside the city limits of Sturgis, good luck with that. So that's the facts, and I'm going to keep my opinions out of it. Anybody else? Opinion away.
Larry, opinion?
Ah, Chris, you didn't want me to start. Did you? Okay. Well,
Let me dust off your soapbox.
Make it
Thank
short.
I'll make it short. I think it's a bad idea. I think that given the people that are going to be going here, they're not going to want to comply, I think, with regulations, and so I think it's a bad idea. I think it's going to end up being people are going to end up being at risk for getting or spreading the virus. This is just not the time. I regretfully, because I think Sturgis is a great event, and I've been wanting and hoping to go myself at some point. Love to ride Black Hills area and so on, but this is just not. I think this is just not the time to do it, and I think that depending on people's voluntary compliance is probably not that reasonable under these circumstances. So that's where I am at. What about you guys?
Well, one thing I'll just throw in there is, it reminds me of, and I had talked about this, that way early on, before the pandemic really, or just as it was getting to be a thing in the U.S., as Gina and I were down at Daytona Bike Week. And again, it was just the point where, it was like maybe there's some reason for concern. When we were down there, Disney World had closed their facilities and stuff. But yeah, we walked around. I'm looking at the photo here in the article. It looked very much like that. The Bike Week is maybe not as big, but very much like, Sturgis, with the bikes all packed in and people packed in and whatever. Anyway, my point is that it worked out okay. In retrospect, maybe wasn't the smartest thing. As the weeks developed and we started to hear more and more, and how sick some people got and the number of people getting sick, it was like, yeah, maybe that wasn't such a good thing. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of on the fence about it. I believe theoretically something like this could be done responsibly. The problem is, we know things like, Sturgis involves alcohol, right? I'm not saying that's the purpose, but that's one of the things that goes on.
Really?
And
really?
I've heard that people drink alcohol and, they don't think so clearly. Their inhibitions go out the window. So, yeah, maybe not the best time to do it.
Tom?
Yeah, Larry, I'm with you on this. So I have never been to Sturgis. I don't really have a desire to go to Sturgis. I would like to ride the Black Hills and the Badlands area, just never during Sturgis. I guess I'm a little jaded since I lived in Daytona Beach for 10, 11 years. So I am quite familiar with what goes on at a major rally and all of the events and activities that happen around it.
Is there really alcohol involved? time?
Just once or every so often you might be able to find a bar that serves a little bit.
I'm shocked. Shocked.
I can give you some good stories about Daytona back in the '90s, what that was like. Although
we're a family friendly show.
Yeah, but the coleslaw wrestling was an event that I did always try and go to.
Oh, wow.
All right, so says. Yeah, it's another story. So every major event has canceled, and I know the vendors and the venues there rely on this. Basically, this is their one thing to make their money for the year. But you got to look at be a good citizen. I mean, Americade has canceled. All of the other major rallies have canceled. So how they think they can but maybe like you said, maybe it's the crowd that perhaps that crowd won't care. And I do have a fear as far as, okay, if you still get a very low turnout, say it's just 300,000 people, it's 300,000 people from all over the country. That are going to go there and congregate and go back and spread out back all over the country where they are. So I don't know. I'm in a small community and I've got, 3 folks in my community that have already tested positive and gotten sick. So it's out there and it happens. And that's my fear as far as just, it does not feel like it's a good thing to do as a good citizen today.
Yeah, I think during, like, in the city limits, that it'll be well patrolled and everybody will take it seriously. Most likely behind the doors, they're going to tell business owners and vendors, look, you have to help regulate this. And if you don't, we're going to pull your business license and we're shutting you down. Or, if you got somebody that won't cooperate, you got to let us know, let us handle it, whatever, right? Buffalo Chip, you couldn't pay me to set foot in there, because it's kind of the Wild West from everything that I know about it. And that's not something that I really feel like people will take too seriously. Okay, just dropped a bunch of stuff. So if you're going to go to Sturgis, be careful. Protect yourself, protect your family. Ride safe, definitely. And that's all.
Even better, don't go this year. Next year will be a different story.
Well, we'll see. All right. So where are we at on time? We are. How long you need for the pet?
Well, we got some stuff. We got some crap.
Got some stuff. Yeah. All right. Let's talk. Staying with heck, we're just going to stay right here with the whole bagger thing. Probably a less loud bike is Indian's got a patent application showing another liquid cooled cruiser that they are working on in the heavyweight category. From looking at the sketches, it's a chieftain or chief kind of different fairing. I know we said that the Challenger looked very, oh crap, my brain. Victory-esque. Yeah. This is another step in that direction. Does have straight pipes on both sides. It has the massive Victory floorboard. And it looks very Victory-esque with an Indian power plant, a more water-cooled power plant. And the fairing in this sketch from the two, we got 2 profiles and kind of an off-angle one, looks very Victory. Of course, we can't see depth or really any kind of lines as far as the fairing goes other than just the profile. But I'd say that it's further implementation of their modern take that Victory had on cruisers. Huge radiator up front too, by the way. What do you guys think about this?
So what? Okay, how? I guess I'm confused, right? Because Indians already got a bunch of big bikes. So do we have any idea what this is supposed to be adding to the mix?
Water cooled. All their big bikes with their Power Stroke engine are all air cooled big V twins.
Except the Challengers, the new bikes are
Yeah.
That one's water. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're using that engine in a otherwise, Chieftain or whatever style bike,
Right.
and that may be the news. And also, it appears to be a kind of a cruiser configuration as opposed to the bagger. So maybe it's designed to be ridden without bags as well. Although
Yeah.
I'm sure that they'll have that option.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Larry, because I think this is going to be more like a day cruiser kind of situation.
Uh huh.
I mean, these documents are pretty well, detailed, and there is no support in the rear for any kind. There's no bolt showing. There's nothing that would show the ability to put on any kind of rear bags or attachments. So this to me is, I'm trying to think of the bike that it reminds me of, but I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I
is
mean, it looks very similar to the Scout 60. I mean, I get that it's like a bigger bike, but it's like take the Scout and put a fairing on it. I don't know. I just, based on everything we've talked about, right? That let's get away from the big bikes and go with more options and smaller things. Just curious that they're going this route.
That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of a Victory Vegas with the fairing.
Okay.
I'm sitting here, except instead of having the dual pipes on one side, it's got straight pipes on both sides. But the lines of it remind me of a Vegas, but with the fairing up top. Pull up a picture of a Vegas and let me know. That long backbone.
Could be.
So,
For me, it's kind of like a non-event type of story. I have personally no interest in cruisers, and especially a fairing or a fork-mounted fairing cruise type of cruiser. Not a big deal. I'm guessing they got to do the water cooled for future emissions at some point. Also for a little bit of performance, if that's the direction they're going.
Yeah, I have a feeling this will eventually make it into their Chieftain Roadmaster, lineup. But see, a lot of people really liked. I mean, the Vegas was a large hit for them, and so a lot of people really liked that bike. They liked the ergonomics. It gave a sense of a modded bike without that. You just bought it straight, and it had that modded look to it that a lot of people were going for back in that time. And I guess they feel that there's some demand there, enough to come up with it. And who knows, this may just be a prototype bike that they base other technologies off in the future. They may never bring it to market, but they want to patent some of the technology and the way things are working. It's basically a parts bike made out of things that will be on future bikes. So.
Yeah, this reminds me of the Harley Sport Glide, which does come with a fairing, and although the Sport Glide does have bags on it, but maybe the point of this, or the most important issue, is that Indian is anticipating that future bikes will have water-cooled engines, and that's the way they're going to go in the future. So this may be an indication that the air-cooled lines are going to be changed in the not-too-distant future into water-cooled engines.
All right. Chris, any thoughts?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Well, I think it's that time that we head over to the paddock.
Whoa. Chris, anything about Moto America?
No racing, but just can kind of remind everybody about the schedule. So this coming weekend, they're going to be racing at Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia, and then the week following, they're going to be Superbike races at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So it's August 7th to 9th. So as things stand, Gene and I are going to be going to that round. Everything is booked, flights and hotel. And I just keep an eye on the New York State website to make sure that Pennsylvania is still on the OK list, which as of right now it is. So things are looking okay.
I'll keep fingers crossed for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's it for Motor America. Nothing else to report yet.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything this week for American Flat Track except to mention that I did get to watch the Volusia races, the 1 and 2, finally on NBCSN, I think it was. And they were, it was interesting to watch. Mies was pretty dominant, and it looks like the season is going to be his. He did win both races. And it looks like basically the season is going to devolve down to who is going to be in second and third place this year. Next races are going to be on August 28th and 29th. So I will report back on those when they occur. MotoGP was interesting this week. Marquez, as you may recall, had a broken arm from an accident in the racing last week. And he had surgery, and they put a plate in the arm, and he was ready to try and ride his bike and see what he could do with his not yet healed arm. And he did a couple of practice rides, and he seemed to be doing okay. And so there was some anticipation that he might be able to actually race. But he got back on the bike in the afternoon, and he experienced some pain and swelling in his arm, and I think some weakness as well. And one of the big concerns when he had the accident was that there might be some nerve damage. And so I think that when he experienced the pain and the weakness, it was very clear that this was not the time for him to be riding. And so he decided not to ride in the race, and I think this was a very good decision on his part. So Marquez was out of the race this week. And in qualifying, Quartararo and Vinales dominated, as they did before. This week, the track was a furnace again, 140-degree track temperatures, 96 degree air temperatures at the start of the race. And this is just grueling. I mean, you're riding bikes that are putting out heat already, and you have to ride in these temperatures. It's dehydrating, and it takes incredible amount of endurance to get through a race like this. So at the beginning of the race, so Quartararo took the pole position again, and Vinales took second place again. Rossi ended up in the second row, I think, starting off in fourth place. I think Morbidelli actually took the third place, and he had been looking quite good in the practice runs. So when the race started, Quartararo jumped out into first place. Vinales seemed to have a bit of a slow start, but he managed to eke out second place by the first turn. And Rossi had a very good start, and he jumped from the second row into third place. And so right at the start, it looked like it was a race between the three of them. Three Yamahas were riding in the lead at the beginning of this race. Vinales in the first lap was dogging Quartararo, and he was clear that he was trying to pass him early on in the race. On one of the turns in the first lap, he dove inside, passed Quartararo, but then in the next turn, he went wide, couldn't brake fast enough, and he lost first place. Not only did he drop back into second, but Rossi was able to pass him as well. He dropped back into third place. He was to spend the next 20 laps trying to get by Rossi and chase Quartararo. And Rossi really ran a very good race. He had trouble with the rear tire at some point in the race, but he seemed to somehow recoup in the last half dozen laps. And he was able to, it seemed like he was able to put some distance between him and Vinales, but Vinales was dogged in staying near him and trying to pass him towards the end of the race. Meanwhile, Quartararo was just cruising. He was building the lead. He was running very consistent Lorenzo-type laps, and he was establishing a Marquez-type lead in the race, and he just looked like a machine. Each lap was almost exactly the same time, and these were practically lap-busting times for the track. So he was really running a very good race under these very trying conditions. The heat did take its toll, and at least 5 riders ended up being out of the race due to either engine failures or crashing out. And by the end of the race, Vinales managed in the last, I think, within the last couple of laps to dive past Valentino. He managed to dive past Rossi, and he took second place in the race. Quartararo finished first. Rossi had a nice third place finish, and so this was his first podium finish in a very long time, and I'm hoping that maybe there will be more of them. Having Rossi a competitor is always a good thing. Takaki Nagasaki, not too many Ks, on a non-factory Honda, managed a very credible fourth place finish. Joan Mir was on a factory Suzuki, had the fifth, and Alex Rins also in the Suzuki team, but riding after partial recovery from an injury last week, was able to secure at least a points position in 10th place, and that was a pretty good ride for him. Alex Marquez, Mark's brother, and a neophyte to the MotoGP class, did have a very nice race and finished in 8th place. And unfortunately, Dovizioso finished in 6th this week, and I'm sure he was disappointed with that. So this is Quartararo's second MotoGP win, and it makes him, I think, the second youngest rider to have won two GPs in a row, and that he is second behind Marc Marquez. So Quartararo is on the right track here, and we will be going to the Czech Republic in 2 weeks for the continuation of the series, and I would imagine the Marquez will be back by then, and then it will be very interesting to see what Quartararo was able to do when Marquez is back on the track. That will be, I think, a very exciting race. So lots to look forward to, and we'll be talking more about this in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. All right. Well, you always do a great job there, and I appreciate everything that you do for following up on that. All right.
My pleasure, indeed.
You guys got anything else before we start wrapping the show?
Just one thing I'll throw out there quickly, just in the realm of World Superbike before we leave the paddock. So we got 2 rounds coming up, same weekends as Moto America. So next weekend, the Pirelli Spanish round. Following weekend, the Motul Portuguese round. So lots of racing in the next 2 weeks.
All right. Stanger, just saw your comment. Hang on afterwards. We'll talk about it. Sorry about that. So let's go and start wrapping up the show. thanks everybody for listening to the show tonight. We really appreciate it. Everybody live. You guys are awesome. Chat's been a lot of fun to watch. Thank you for everybody who writes into the shows and leaves comments on Facebook. Speaking of, you can follow us on Twitter at Throttled Show, Instagram Throttled Show, and Facebook Throttled Podcast. I was able to get the Instagram feed back up and working on the website. So sorry about that, being down for a few weeks. Outside of that, we do broadcast live every Sunday, 7:30 Central and 5:30 Pacific. You can figure out the rest of them. And we do post those YouTube links on Twitter and Facebook about 15 minutes before the show starts. When we actually start the stream, we post those up, and we'd love for you to come and join us. If you are watching this on Facebook and you haven't already, please consider subscribing and clicking that little notification bell. That helps us out to reach more potential viewers out there. And we would really greatly appreciate that. If you decide you're kind of interested in watching the show, because we are the most handsome motorcycle riders out there, obviously, go ahead and lightning will strike me shortly. Go ahead and just head to the Facebook page or the Twitter page, and you can see all the links out there. And I'm probably going to be updating the website soon to put the YouTube page link there as well, so you could actually watch one of our episodes. And if you do, go ahead and subscribe and hit that button if you're interested in joining us, or just knowing that there's a new show and you don't have to wait for us to publish it. You can kind of just watch the live stream there. Bit of warning, we don't cut those shows. They go straight in from when we broadcast them. So there's usually 15 minutes of lead buffering time. You can just skip ahead on that and keep going. I'm trying to figure out how to have it automatically knock that off, and don't know how to do that yet. I wish I could go back and edit those. Maybe I can. I don't know. I'm not very good at the YouTube yet. The old YouTube. All right. Lastly, please write us feedback at throttlepodcast.com or throttlepodcast.com. Go to the contact tab, fill out that form. We get it in the same mailbox. We would love hearing from you and look forward to each and every message from each one of you. All right. That does it for me. What do you guys think? Any, mini, miny, mo, Chris?
All right. Well, it was awesome being with everyone tonight. Thank you for everyone who tuned in to watch and who listens to this as the podcast episode. I don't know. At least if you're in my area, stay cool, ride safe, enjoy it. And if you're ever up for trying track days, let me know. I'm more than happy to help out.
Cool. Tom?
Very good. Hey, everybody have a good week. Cooler days are coming here in the South. I can't believe it's going to be August next week already. So this year is flying by. It can't end soon enough. Hopefully better things in the future. But everybody, hey, have a good week. Get out and ride if you can.
Amen to that.
Larry?
Yeah, I agree. And great chat as usual, guys. Our chat seems to be growing, and that's always welcome to see. As for me, I am going to get out and ride again this week. And when I do, I'm going to make sure that I ride safe and ride my own ride. Kev?
All righty. Well, hey, everybody, thanks again. Everybody's already said it. We really appreciate you listening and watching, and would not be here without you guys. We do it because we love interacting with you and talking our nonsense so you guys can get a little giggle out of it. Get out there and ride safe, stay cool, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye. All right, everybody in the live stream, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I did see somebody put up a link or a question about the the advanced course.
Yeah.
Stinger put up something about the MSF Advanced Riders course. Do you want to talk about it, Tom, or you want me to talk about it?
I've taken it a few times. I never taught it. Hopefully sometime in the future I'll get certified for it. But no, go ahead.
Yeah, I as well have not taught it. I've been trying to get certified for a while. Not a lot of demand. So if you've got a course and it's made, which this year actually probably be a better chance than not, because people kind of have pent up needs, I guess, desires to get out and ride and do courses and stuff, fun things. But so what the course does is it takes you through more of real world applicable stuff. So you've been out there riding for a while. You go to the ADV, the advanced course, and one of the things they do is a quick stop and then change lanes. Like it's a simulated. You stop in traffic. You look up. This guy's not going to slow down. Get around the car in front of you, out of the way of the collision. Right. That's one of the things they do. You should get into a little bit of trail braking, slowing down in a curve. They don't call it trail braking, but that's what it is, right? It's progressively slowing down as you're going through a curve. And what they actually have you do is they put you in a simulated decreasing radius turn to where you actually do like a little, I think it goes 720 degrees, and then you come out of it and you accelerate back to a stopping point. They have different kind of things like that. They have a circle weave of different sizes. There's several exercises for moving around on the bike, having you moving independently on the bike, letting the bike move underneath you, and then you moving off of the bike. It would be a good step to take before going to a track day where they tell you to hang off the bike, right? This gives you that first experience, and they kind of help you out with different kind of things. I will say with the Russell Daylong seat, it is more complicated because the seat wants to keep sucking you back into it with those wings. They kept telling me, like, we'd like to see you get off the bike more. And I was like, Russell Daylong. And they're just like, never mind. I was like,
Yep.
I slide over,
that.
and then as soon as I make a move, it's just like, I just couldn't help it. I'm wanting to take it again on a normal, narrow, I guess, seat for mine. That way I can actually hang off the bike. It is rather uncomfortable to get far enough off that way. So,
I do want to take one myself coming up here as soon as I can.
Yeah. Most likely Alabama will not be having any advanced. I keep saying ADV at advanced course this year. I don't know about any of the other states.
So Georgia, there's the MSF campus in Alpharetta, Georgia, which is a Honda training facility as well. They teach it on a regular basis and usually have at least one session a month.
I can't get them to answer the phone.
A couple of times there. Yeah, I guess you have to keep trying. So I always describe the course as, so all the stuff we tell you not to do in the BRC, in the ARC, they now train you how to do those things. Braking in a curve, swerving and avoiding an obstacle in a curve, much more aggressive emergency braking. It's and at least the times that I've taken it, the instructors have let you run up to whatever you're comfortable with from a speed standpoint and how much you want to lean the bike over. There were no governors really on us other than your own comfort level. So that kind of made it fun.
Well, you're on your own bike, and that's one thing they do tell you. One thing that you need to do before you get there, though, is and do it early, and you need to do one as soon as you can. Do a T-Clocks. Check everything, specifically your tires and your brakes. We had a guy whose brakes weren't good enough. He didn't get to participate when I went through it. We had one guy whose tires were borderline, like probably after that ride home, if he'd have come back the next day, his tires wouldn't have qualified. I mean, it was sketch. We also had a guy burn up his clutch there because he liked to hot dog it, and the way he rode his clutch, I don't think he ever let it out. So things to consider. But it was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do it again. So I was going to try to comp the next one that we had just to go have some fun for a weekend. I was kind of hoping for it to be like an October, November timeframe when it's not so hard. Yeah, I like the ARC. It's a one-day course, no tests. And when you get to like, hey, I'm tired, I'm done. Okay, cool. It's not like there's any penalty. You just, that's it. If you're not comfortable doing something, they don't necessarily build on each other, and they may or may not let you do that. Okay, so outside of that, I think that's all we got. Right, gentlemen?
That's good. That's good.
All right. Guys, appreciate it. And y'all have a great one. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Night, everybody.
Good night.